Hi guys, welcome to Counterpoints, back-to-back super fun episodes, and if you don't like this one, then I don't give a shit, because this video is for me and anybody who enjoys good sci-fi. So we have this tendency, right, to put ourselves in little boxes where we become a circle jerking culture where all that's going on is I give you my perspective on politics. I repeat the same 10 platitudes that you came to the channel for. And then you and I just, we have this mutually masturbatory, and yes, I'm using provocative sexual language, relationship where I say what you want to hear and then you hear what you want to hear. And I don't want that. I don't want that in a relationship. I don't want that in my audience. I don't want that at all. So what we're actually going to do is something that's not directly related to politics, but, pop culture criticism can, kind of bring out some political things. So this is the best sci-fi video I have seen in forever. And it's set in my favorite universe, which I know people are going to find quasi-fascist, but the 40K universe, the tabletop game that has an entire book series. There's also video games. Space Marine was incredible. I love that game. Absolutely. I wish they would make a second one. They're not going to. And for those of you who are just getting introduced, this is a universe in which there are no good guys. So Master Chief, saves humanity, and he's a valiant hero and all that kind of bullshit, and he has no real flaws. Every single character in this series is evil, and they have flaws, but they're so badass and they're so over the top that it doesn't really matter, because you're so wrapped up in the visceral nature of the violence and the visceral nature of the aesthetics that you don't really give a fuck that there are no good guys and no bad guys. So I'll try to contextualize as much of it as possible. And this kind of goes back to my Gucci Gang video. If you want to watch it uninterrupted and just enjoy the art, please go do so now. Go look at Astartes, Astartes. Select the 1 through 5 episode. Watch it straight through. I think it's only like 13 minutes. And you will, if you're a fan of sci-fi, if you're a fan of visceral violence, if you're a fan of gore, you will not understand everything that's going on, but you will love it. Okay? So for now that you're back and you've watched it without me, for those of you who are fans of 40K, for those of you who are not fans of 40K, and for those of you who are willing to give me the next half hour to 45 minutes of your life so we can watch an incredible piece of sci-fi and I will break down the parts of it for you that I understand, let's do it together. Let's start. Okay. So, no, I'm stopping super early. Did you see the little human beings walking down in the corners of the hallway? That's because those are normal human beings. Those are, 5'5" to 6'5" human beings, and these guys are between like 8 and 10 feet in power armor. So if you like Master Chief, these guys are evil Master Chief, and they're hyper religious, and they pray to the God Emperor of Mankind, who is a psychic warrior, killed or half dead, sitting on his golden throne of Terra, and his psychic powers act as a beacon through which the rest of humanity, which has spread to the stars, can guide themselves throughout the galaxy. But there's Starship Troopers bugs, there's orcs, there's elves, there's dark elves, there's chaotic human beings, people who basically worship the devil, and the multiple facets of the devil. And then the way that humanity survives is by having normal warriors, normal human beings with, basically bullshit weapons. And then you have these guys, ultra special forces, evil Master Chief with basically this looks like an assault rifle, but it's really a miniature missile launcher with explosive mini missiles in this magazine. And this guy is literally praying to it and with it, because within it is a machine spirit, basically a like psychic manifestation of power within the universe. So the same way that Greek Orthodox priests bless the weapons of Slavic and Russian warriors, this gentleman, the Space Marine, is doing the same thing to his weapon. 40K is fucking awesome. right, so what the fuck did we just see, okay? Space Marines got on a docking torpedo and flew out towards an enemy vessel. They had an Imperial Guard, which is just normal human, escort fighter that broke off in order to go engage somewhere else in the space battle. I believe that was a Thunderbolt, if you ever get into 40K. It's a heavy strike fighter in this universe. Then there's two little orbs flying in front of the docking torpedo, and those are basically I don't want to say servitors. I could be wrong, but basically like they're little flying skulls that have like computer chips inside of them and like the remnants of human souls inside them. And those both act as countermeasures for incoming fire that's trying to block the docking torpedo. And so those guys go off and destroy some incoming enemy missiles, and then the docking torpedo lasers a couple of incoming missiles, and then the docking torpedo slams and laser fires deep into the enemy hull, and now there's like 10 or 15 super crazy, badass, evil space warriors now inside the enemy ship. Yes, it's about to get good. It's so good. So this is going to keep happening for like another minute. But basically the Space Marines are enhanced humans. So not only are they physiologically enhanced, well, I mean, they're primarily physiologically enhanced, and their weapons are so strong. So they have advanced, like we saw, they have advanced optics. They can, you know, see through smoke. They can see through the dark. So they basically have night vision built into their helmets. They're firing miniature missiles. Every single time that you saw a human body explode, it was hit with a single bullet, basically the size of a Red Bull can. And inside that Red Bull can was a tiny explosive amount, which is why you basically saw normal human beings, my sized, being blown apart. So what happens in like 99% of this universe is human beings fight aliens, and aliens fight human beings, and human beings fight other human beings if they're, you know, fighting for chaos or fighting for the emperor of mankind. And it kind of doesn't, you know, it doesn't really matter. Most people are using these normal guns. They're using stub guns, which are like modern rifles. They're using laser cannons. They're using laser rifles. And for the most part, they can kill the aliens can kill them, and everybody can kill each other. But the point of the Space Marine is basically to be like an evil superhero without peer, and for hundreds of opponents to literally oppose a single Space Marine, and for that Space Marine to dominate. So the fact that that Marine was able to sidestep a missile, there's still the chance of killing a Space Marine. Like, you as a human technically have the possibility of killing a Space Marine. You could, you know, shoot a whole bunch of bullets. Maybe you'll get lucky, it'll go through the eye socket. You could shoot a whole bunch of las cannon fire. Maybe you'll get lucky and it'll go through the throat or the gorget and, you know, actually kill one. But when there's 10 or 20 of them versus 100 of you, you'll be lucky if you kill one, because that's just how technologically and physiologically advanced Space Marines are. It's so fucking cool. Fuck anybody who likes sci-fi and doesn't like this. All right, I promise I'll stop pausing so interestingly. But this guy had an auto cannon, which is actually in the tabletop game, and try to take out a few Space Marines. Those bullets very easily could kill a Space Marine, but the Space Marines are so fucking good that one of them is already creeping up in the darkness. And all this guy can do is get off a few rounds before a Space Marine sneaks up behind him. An 8-foot-tall super warrior in armor sneaks up behind him and puts a couple of rounds in his back as he thinks that he's actually causing damage. Fuck, it's so good. In the din of battle, a Space Marine heard a guy with a bomb sneaking up behind him and stabbed him in the fucking chest. I watched that single clip like a dozen times because what happens is the Space Marine is chasing a whole bunch of people, a whole bunch of probably Chaos cultists who are fleeing for their lives because they know how fucked they are. And the Chaos cultists, knowing how fucked they are, roll up a twin multi-laser, basically an artillery piece meant for like mass anti-infantry fire. They mow down 40 of their own guys trying to kill one Space Marine because they know how fucked they are. And they barely dent his armor. Later on, you're going to see like a couple of pockmarks, but they actually don't do shit. The Space Marine fires a couple of shots trying to take care of the threat immediately, realizes that he can't take care of the threat and he's actually posing a risk to himself. So if that multi-laser keeps going, it could hit him in the gorge, hit him in the eye, hit him in the shoulder, something like that, and actually cause damage. So he steps to cover to avoid it, throws concealment, and then because he's so good, because Space Marines are so good, he literally pulls out a plasma pistol, charges it, steps back into the threat, and fires a single round through his own smoke screen to take out the target. It's so good. There's books, there's video games. If this is your first introduction to Warhammer 40K, you are welcome. And this is a fan-made film, by the way. This isn't even like by the owners of the franchise. That's also what's incredible. This is like allegedly one guy producing this. So again, you're welcome. There's still more. Let's keep going. If I'm giving you like violence blue balls, go watch the other video. Don't be here. Go someplace else, right? I'm trying to break this down for people. So I told you how those machine guns basically shoot Red Bull cans filled with explosives and they're rocket propelled. This shield right here is actually in the tabletop game. It's an invulnerable save. Large heroes, large characters, both good and bad, they tend to have invulnerable saves. Basically, either like a psychic power or an actual physical force field that's personal that allows them to shrug off most attacks. So in the tabletop game, this is an invulnerable save. The magazine spent was basically a bolt of rounds fired in rapid fire, for those of you who like the tabletop. And we're about to see a whole bunch of other crazy shit that's legitimately in the tabletop game and the lore. And these guys, my guess is these are just like rogue psyker chaos cultists, for those of you who are already familiar with the universe. We saw so much. So in the tabletop, it's not reflected anywhere near as much, but Space Marines are supposed to be incredibly intelligent tacticians. And as a actual former Marine, one of the most frustrating things to watch in sci-fi or action is seeing supposedly the best warriors on the planet having bullshit tactics. So I love The Mandalorian, but that big gunfight with like 50 Mandalorians was actually kind of dumb. And from a tactic standpoint. And a lot of action sequences are actually incredibly dumb from a tactic standpoint. This is not dumb. This is people providing covering fire so their, basically compatriots can make moves. So, on the overhang, there were 2 Marines doing covering fire. On the below portion, looking at these guys, there was another Marine doing covering fire. And basically one of them dumped an entire magazine and then took off so he could attack from a different direction. And then while everybody was dumping mags, a guy who is incredibly competent at close combat is charging these guys. Now, in a real tactic scenario, are you going to have somebody laying down covering fire while you're literally charging enemy combatants so you can stab them to death? Probably not. You're probably going to get shot in the back or shot by the enemy. But when you're an 8-foot tall, literally ceramite, so like a combination of steel and cement, ceramite power armored genetic demigod of war, are you going to do shit like that? Yes, absolutely. And then also, if I had to guess, the reason why he discarded his plasma pistol, either permanently or temporarily, was because he overcharged it, basically meaning that he built up the charge inside the pistol and fired it, which it has a risk of overcharging and blowing up in your hand. Rare risk, but an actual risk. And that's something that's in the game. And then also, when that guy basically took out the people in the overhang, my guess for the tabletop, that would be the psychic power smite. And if I'm showing my my nerd credentials, if you don't like it, fuck you a little bit. This shit's awesome. It's better than the Avengers, I'll tell you that. God, it's so good. I could talk about this shit all day, but I know you don't have all day, so we're going to keep going. This guy has multi-laser burns, basically meaning that this is either the guy who took some rounds earlier in the fight, or this is legitimately the guy who stepped into the corridor and got hit with multi-lasers all over his armor. He is just a human being. He's a human being on steroids, and he's 8 foot tall, and he has power armor, and he's incredibly well trained, but he's still a human being. So he's going up a incarnation of the devil in real life. This is a worshiper of Satan who actually has powers in real life, who is using his powers to kill his friends. This person is, or this Marine, this superhuman, this Ubermensch, maybe the Amnats and Natsox will love that. He is so powerful because of bioengineering and armor and technology, but he is a human, but he has been trained so hard and so long that this is his comfort zone. He is completely confident facing satanic warriors of the devil who are trying to kill him and exterminate all of humanity. This is what he loves to do. So literally, while he's frozen, having his bones and blood crushed internally inside his armor by an evil opponent, and his brothers are getting taken out left and right, As soon as he has an opportunity and he shoves his gun inside the force field and wounds this guy and temporarily breaks the force field, his soul murderous intent perfectly captured by his pseudo Darth Vader armor and this fucking massive combat knife that in the hands of any other human would be a fucking sword, but to this guy it's just a fucking knife. His sole murderous intent is to fucking stab this guy in the throat, and he doesn't give a solitary shit. And this guy is incredibly lucky for the following reason. Well, you know, temporarily lucky. So many things so fast, okay? The guy is trapped. He has his knife. He's about to kill this arbiter of the devil. He's been frozen by the this arbiter's mate. He doesn't care. He's still trying to kill this guy. But then he feels the darkness come in. He feels the chaotic power of ruin smite building up inside his opponent's mind, about to obliterate him from existence and rip his superhuman body from the world. And as the world closes in, his comrade, his compatriot, comes charging in from the rear, having already basically their other three friends either seriously wounded or killed, having distracted these psychic warriors. Now the final fucking member is ambushing them from behind while they're distracted by this guy. Perfect tactics in which many of them could be killed or will be killed, but because the opponents that they face are so serious, it's worth it. And what's the result? Victory. That's the fucking result. God, so good. Don't worry, folks, it's not over yet. This one's going to get a little confusing, but it's going to be great. All right. This guy's custom armor and his white helmet. White helmet normally denotes a veteran. This guy is probably the leader of the Space Marines, and this is the original Space Marine ship. The person on the ground praying or meditating is an Inquisitor, or at least an Inquisition acolyte. Inquisitors are very similar to the Spanish Inquisition in that they basically pursue heretics and servants of the devil and then try to execute them. So this Inquisitor likely has been serving with these Marines for months, maybe even years, using them as his right hand while he hunts heretics and servants of the devil, whether that be alien or literally just servants of the devil and the many faces of the devil. I keep saying devil for like people who are completely unfamiliarized with this universe, but there's actually like multiple devils. Like there's the god of blood, there's the god of excess and pleasure, but you don't want that kind of pleasure. There's the god of change. There's a whole bunch of gods of chaos, and that basically serves as this world's principal enemy that has many forms and many faces. So that ball that he was worshiping, I actually originally thought this was like a warp drive, basically, because these guys go into slip space, but slip space, instead of like a pussy ass Star Wars, slip space is actually hell. Like, it's Event Horizon. These guys literally travel through hell in order to jump from parts of the material universe to different parts of the material universe. And through that rip, demons and other creatures of the warp, which is their version of, warp drive, their version of slip space, basically those creatures can either attack you while you're in there, or they can attack you whenever you're around a portal to the warp or a portal to hell. Whatever it is, this is some kind of portal to hell. This is important, and I'm sorry for pausing again. I believe the ground is frozen, and basically that's what chipped when he was walking. Whenever an area gets super cold super fast, it basically means that the forces of hell are present. And that's a common theme throughout the books. Here is an unrestrained, in my estimation, an unrestrained portal to hell.
Astartes.
And this is how powerful Space Marines are, that literally demons conversing through a portal to hell know your fucking name. Imagine living in this universe in which you are a god of war, but the enemies you face are so terrifying and so deadly, but at the same time, you are so powerful that literally demons speaking through the portal of hell know that you are Adeptus Astartes, basically powerful warriors on behalf of humanity. It's a power fantasy, but it's one of the best ones I've ever seen. So whatever they injected into that portal, I think it's both a restraining device and a sense of study, basically. So it restrains the portal to hell, but it also sends readings on the portal back to the Space Marine ship. That's my reading on the scenario. One of the coolest things is so subtle about this video where literally the commander looks at his subordinate, realizing that his Marines are in danger because of whatever reaction the Inquisitor just gave, and that Marine instantaneously takes off. It's a part of the lore. It's a part of real military life where any nanosecond of delay potentially means lethal death. So that gentleman is probably running back to the communication center in order to warn the other Astartes that there is danger. Unknown danger, but danger nonetheless. And just a mere look or inter-helmet communication between the commander and the subordinate makes the subordinate immediately take off. An incredibly fine but beautiful detail of this entire piece. So it's so good. It's so good. It's so good. Oh my God. So the Inquisition are like, they're the highest order of human beings that you can have. They serve the Emperor almost directly. They serve Terra or Holy Earth almost directly. They are akin to like secret agents, the Secret Service, psychic warriors, religious devotees, religious leaders, scholars. They are the combinations of so many different tropes that it's impossible, and their status in society cannot be overstated. Basically, an Inquisitor can walk into any room inside the Imperium and start executing willy-nilly, and nobody else is really going to do anything because that person has been entrusted with so much power to guard the realms of men. Now, they tend to abuse that power, but they're also like, you know, literally fighting demons and, you know, the agents of the many devils. So that Inquisitor, the reason why that moment is so incredible is because that Inquisitor is of such high station. Even if he's an inquisitorial acolyte, he's still of such high station that he should basically be untouchable. But literally, the Space Marine captain recognizes demonic possession instantaneously and without hesitation because of his training. He literally smashes his human face, and because demonic corruption is so rampant, his subordinate instantaneously blows the guy's body apart with bolter fire in order to make sure that a demon does not inhabit the corpse and then turn into some kind of monster, because that's a thing in this universe. It's a thing that has occurred and a thing that will occur. And one of my most favorite books, as fucked up and crazy as it is, there's a few stories like this, but one of them was about somebody who basically snitched to the Inquisition about a cult on a planet. And they actually helped the Inquisition and the Space Marines take down this cult. And then at the end, when everybody else is dead, the guy's like, wow, you know, what a huge relief. All those cultists are dead. I'm so happy that I got you guys in order to come here. And the Inquisitor is like, well, there's one more thing to take care of, and that's to kill you. And the guy's like, what? No, I didn't do anything wrong. What's wrong? Like, I told you about the cult. What's the problem? And the Inquisitor's like, yeah, but you've probably been tainted, so you're going to have to go. And then right as the Space Marine is about to execute the guy who had snitched on his fellow cultists and gotten them all killed is turned into a demon himself and starts attacking the Inquisitor and the Space Marine before he's put down. And that's to show you, like, how barbaric and savage this entire universe is, where even the people who are trying to help you are potential pawns of the devil. It's a paranoid, violent, and dark universe. It's literally called grim dark. It is so good. It's so incredibly good. And this was a viral meme for a while, and I loved it. So he receives the communication. He tilts his head in order to receive the communication. No sooner is he warned that there's something terribly wrong with the diagnostic equipment, but he begins to get sucked into the demonic portal along with all of his battle brothers. Basically trying to react instantaneously to being sucked into a demonic portal in which you have no physical power to resist. You're literally talking about some kind of evil squid demon staring you in the face before he sucks you into the portal. And that's kind of like the relationship between the material realm and the psychic realm, where the material realm, you can see it the same way that we see things. But basically the psychic realm is all around us at all times. So at any time you can become possessed or ripped apart by a demon, even though you can't see them. But they will also manifest in the material world as well. So trying to think quickly, how do I fucking do this thing? He turns to his military might, pulls out his plasma pistol, which he knows he can overcharge, sticks it into the portal of hell, and holds down the trigger. That overcharges the plasma gun, basically turning it into an explosion with the power of like a small star, blowing off his arm and ripping a hole in the portal to hell. But guess what? Hell is quite powerful and sucks him into the portal regardless. There is literally an evil squid demon. They are in hell, and they are being consumed by the evil squid demon in hell when a massive jet of evil energy blasts the demon apart. So if you're being consumed by a demon, and then a massive blast of evil energy destroys that demon, what does that say about your future, that you were being eaten alive and now something worse wants you to be free? He's wounded. He just blew off his own arm. He just went through a portal to hell, was almost consumed by a demon. A larger, more powerful evil force blew that demon apart, and now he's reappeared in material reality. And because he was exposed to the atmosphere of hell, his body literally rejects it and he throws up blood, probably from his lungs. But he's a fucking space marine. So his blood instantaneously clots. His wounds instantaneously start to heal. His physiology is adapted to basically cutting off parts of his body that are damaged and or repairing the ones that he needs in order to survive. Rips off his mask, breathes in a fresh breath of air, and he fucking rallies because he's a goddamn space marine. Now, there's a lot of symbolism here that is not easily interpretable. These things kind of have like demonic heads. They're massive constructions, who knows? But it's not lost on me that the Emperor of Mankind is half dead and stuck to a golden throne. And these appear to be replications, as far as the eye can see, of a dead man in a chair. So even if these are like the manifestations of some demonic power who's basically carving his own designs into material reality, this is a symbol, potentially, it could be a symbol of something else, but this is a symbol of the leader of mankind being completely dead and the world being consumed by demons. this guy is still making other films. So, you know, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope I didn't make it worse. If you didn't want to watch me comment on it for 20 minutes, then you probably should have just gone and watched it your fucking self instead of being a douchebag and living a shitty comment. Listen, I'm a little fucking triggered over the Groypers and the Amnats. They got butthurt because I associated them together. I'm getting butthurt because they're constantly leaving butthurt comments. Okay, so I'm sorry if I'm a little fussy, but that's why we did some fun stuff. That's why we did, you know, the Zoomer Fortunate Son reaction, and that's why we did the Astartes reaction. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you're a fan of 40K, then, you know, leave a comment, like, share, subscribe, all that bullshit. If you're not a fan of 40K, then there's not a lot of products in the 40K universe that are quite this good. This is probably one of the most phenomenal bits of media that I've ever seen. But the Space Marine video game is really fun. I fucking love it. That was a great game. It's kind of old. I think it was released in like 2012 now. And then there's, you know, there's some other media that's, you know, pretty good stuff. So anyways, like, share, subscribe, dislike, leave me a rude comment, leave me a nice comment. Maybe you'll be in a Counterpoints episode in the future. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. So have a great night. Catch you soon. Bye.